Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Workforce Wednesdays of the 2021-2022 school year with the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce Workforce Center's Bus to Business virtual program series. My name is Zach Gobert, and I'm a program manager with the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce Foundation, and I help to run our Bus to Business program. I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, the Kentucky Society for Human Resource Management, or KY-SHRM, and KCTCS for their investment in helping to bring classrooms to careers. In addition to our virtual live sessions, weekly e-news, and critical jobs of the week graphics, this year we have launched a contest for students in grades K through 5 to participate in throughout the school year. Students in kindergarten through 5th grade are invited to download or request a printed copy of our newly released Bus to Business coloring book. This coloring book highlights critical Kentucky jobs in different industries, including construction, healthcare, equine, and manufacturing. Each month, students will be invited to submit their completed coloring pages online, and selected winners will be featured on social media and on the Bus to Business website. For the month of May, please color the conclusion and wrap-up page found on page 10 and submit your entry found on the Bus to Business website. All of this information, including links to turn submissions, can be found at kychamber.com/bus-to-business. Closed captioning has been enabled for this webinar, so please use the Zoom bar on your screen to enable this feature if you need it. Today's session is also being recorded as well as live streamed to YouTube and will be available to rewatch and share afterwards. If you're over one of the 200 students tuning in with us live on May 4th, or watching a later date, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you all learned something new. For today's session, we'll be hearing from NextEra Energy. NextEra Energy is the world's largest utility company and is proud to be built and based in America. With a market capitalization of more than $100 billion, they're the world's largest utility company and generate more wind and solar energy than any other company in the world. NextEra is among America's largest capital investors in infrastructure and are planning to invest between 50 and 55 billion through 2022. They are recognized as one of the top 25 in the world for innovation, according to the Fortune magazine. I'll now pass it over to Lena and Chelsea with NextEra for today's session to talk more about careers and sustainable energy. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us, Zach, and the Kentucky Chamber. Again, I believe Zach mentioned that you can put your questions in the chat box. We are going to discuss some of the career opportunities here at NextEra Energy Resources, and we love our jobs here, and just wanted to share 3 key takeaways before we get started. You guys can be anything that you want. I know you've heard this from your parents and your teachers, but truly you really can be. We encourage you to try it all out. There's no one straight path, so just continue to do your schoolwork. And another key takeaway is teamwork. Building relationships is very important, as you will find out in your life, and it promotes strength and support with whoever you are, conversing with. And the last one is to follow your passions. It's important to do what you love and what makes you happy. So this is what makes Lena and I happy, and we do love our jobs, like I said. So throughout this presentation, we're going to show a couple short videos on our energy industry, and yeah, we'll go ahead and show one right now. Okay.
Imagine a future in which America is powered by its own energy. Homegrown, clean, affordable energy. Built by American workers using American know-how, innovation, and technology. The next era of American energy is here. NextEra Energy Resources is an American-owned company and the world's leading generator of renewable energy from the wind and the sun. Each year, we're investing billions of dollars in America's energy infrastructure, including new wind and solar facilities, transmission, natural gas pipelines, and energy storage. 99% of the electricity we generate comes from clean or renewable sources. helping reduce our country's dependence on foreign oil. We're creating clean energy jobs, driving rural economic development, and investing in communities all across the country. As a leading wholesale power generator, we serve a wide range of customers, drawing on our expertise and experience to meet their energy needs. At NextEra Energy Resources, we're building America's clean energy future today.
Okay, you guys got to see that great video and excellent introduction, Zach and Chelsea, about the company. And you've seen a lot of these statements here on this slide. Just to introduce myself, so my name is Lena Jensen. I'm a project director at NextEra Energy Resources, and my projects are in Kentucky. So I love Kentucky. I've really enjoyed visiting with people all over the state. And just a couple of things I wanted to point out here. We are an American-owned and operated company. We're the largest generator of renewable energy from the wind and sun. And you'll see some numbers on here that we'll have some trivia later on where you can learn with us. There's an item here that says more than 24,000 MW in operation. So that MW stands for megawatts. And that also translates into, if you're doing your unit conversions, 24 gigawatts or 24 million kilowatts. So that'll come up later on, just a little tidbit there. But, Zach already talked about how much we've invested in energy infrastructure. It's getting upwards of like 90 billion right now since 2004. So in Kentucky, a lot of the opportunities for growth in renewable energy will come from solar energy. So I wanted to talk through with you guys, what does that look like? This is a simplified version of it, but it really will just help you understand how do we really get energy from the sun. So the sun has irradiance and heat that comes from the sun, right? It hits the earth constantly. And solar panels form into solar arrays, which are like large sets of solar panels. And when the sun hits those, then it converts it into DC electricity. So DC stands for direct current. And then after the solar arrays, the energy will get collected to these inverters, and it's called an inverter, that converts the energy from direct current to alternating current. And alternating current is better. It just travels more efficiently, and it's safer at higher voltages. That's why we convert it to AC. And then it goes into the transmission system, which is this huge, complex system all across the U.S. with people that operate that, and they decide how to balance loads across the whole U.S. It's an amazing system. So it goes into this electrical transmission system, and you can see two boxes on the sides of those poles. Those two boxes represent transformers, and so those are changing the voltage of the electricity lines. And then after that, it goes into the distribution lines, and the distribution lines are what take electricity to you guys. So to your homes, to businesses, to whoever the consumer is. So we wanted to just give you that overview of, how does solar energy work? Because in Kentucky, that's where more of the renewable energy opportunities are. And then for the rest of this presentation, we wanted to really give you guys a vision for, what the different jobs are involved in the renewable energy industry, and also put some faces to the industry and tell you about why do we love our jobs so much? What's so cool about them? You can see some pictures there. I have 3 kids, and you can see them. One of them is they're just enjoying life, living their best life there. So wanted to show you that we
like to balance work and life. So what does a typical day look like for me? Sometimes that means, looking at state and local regulations or requirements, talking to local officials or planning and zoning committees or state regulators to make sure that we are following all the requirements required for the project and fulfilling compliance to those, but also coordinating internally with our teams, and you'll learn more about those as we go through the presentation. My favorite part of the job is putting all the puzzle pieces together to build something that everyone can really be proud of, and just the great people that I get to meet across Kentucky, business owners, landowner partners, local officials, state officials. It's just fantastic. So why is this job important? Just to give you a really high level view of how these projects come together, there's really 4 main cornerstone partnerships of any renewable project. And it starts with landowners that want to host solar panels on their land. And then it goes to transmission operators, so people who run the transmission grid and how we connect into that grid. And the third one is people who want to buy the power, people who need the power. And the fourth one is, like I talked about before, the permitting side, the regulations, making sure that we're doing the right thing here. So my role is really laying that foundation for that successful project and then stewarding it through construction. So for each of us, we have a career path that we wanted to share with you. And really, we wanted to highlight how all of us have different paths that we've taken, and none of them have been straight lines. So I'm originally from Florida. I went to school in Atlanta and then graduated in mechanical engineering. And I moved to Houston in 2009 to work in the oil and gas industry. And I loved working on oil and gas projects. And I got the chance to move around to different places. I lived in Canada, and I did a lot of business trips kind of all over the world. And you can see a picture there in Australia. Just a phenomenal experience, and did all kinds of different project type of functions. So project controls, which is more cost and schedule management. And then we went into construction management and, high risk activities that we were planning for. And then I also had a role in development planning. So this is early on when you're deciding whether to do a project and economically, does it make sense, when and where, things like that. And then I got the chance during COVID. Actually, it was kind of a game changer for all of us, but for me personally, that meant my own personal, energy transition. So I wanted to come back to home. I wanted to live near family again, and luckily I get to still travel a lot. I still get to see and meet all kinds of people in Kentucky. So that's a little bit about my background and my role, but I've had probably 10 or 11 different roles, and I've been working professionally for about 13 years. So just always be ready to take the next step and to try something new, because you never know where it's going to take you. So we have some trivia questions. I hope you guys are ready. I know you remembered what I was saying about kilowatts and megawatts and gigawatts. So the question is, how many kilowatts are in a megawatt? So you have A, is it 1,000? B, 1,000,000? C, 10? Or D, 0.01? So you can put your answers in the chat, and then we'll be able to, I wonder if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. That's what Zach said. Put your answers in the chat. All right. So we will reveal the answer here. It is 1,000. So 1,000 kilowatts in a megawatt, and then 1,000 megawatts in a gigawatt. So now you know. And then there's a picture on the right of a wind turbine that is in construction. So that's a pretty cool picture there.
Great. So hello again, everybody. I am a project manager working mostly on community outreach and supporting project directors like Lena here. I do work in Kentucky a lot. So my role specifically is to work with local organizations and Chamber of Commerce, economic development offices, and schools like yours to support their initiatives and sponsor any events you guys might have in the communities that we are working in. I also educate the public on our projects that we are, wanting to build in the neighborhood, as well as solar and renewable energy generation. I travel a ton. That is one of my passions. I love traveling, and you'll see on the next slide that my career path has taken me all over the country, really all over the world, like Lena has said.
So
I love my job. It's great for the environment. Again, I love traveling, and we do, like I said earlier, have the best team in the industry. And if you find a job that you do love and you have a great team, like I said, stick with it. And again, like I said earlier, that building relationships is a huge part of our industry as well as life as a whole. So I was also born in Florida, went to school at Florida State University, and really studied comparative government and political science. So when I graduated, I wasn't sure where I wanted to start my career, if I wanted to, go into government. So instead of going in for my what I got my degree in, I decided to work in a couple fun jobs, which included I worked in the retail space, the restaurant industry, and I even went as far to get my license to work on a yacht. And then my mom reeled me back in and she said, okay, Chelsea, let's be a little bit more realistic. Let's, go use your degree. So I ended up going to work for the State House, Florida House of Representatives, working as a legislative assistant. And then realized I didn't really like the industry, so I went into medical sales. And then COVID happened, and I was not allowed to travel to hospitals anymore, as you can imagine, with all the hospitals being full during the pandemic. So I'm so happy to be here as a project manager here at NextEra Energy Resources. And we do have, a lot of job opportunity here. So we'll share a couple more colleagues that we work with and what they do as well. Oh, let's do a trivia question first. So, how much energy is consumed by Kentucky that came from renewable energy or renewable sources last year? I'll give you a second to put it in the chat box. What do we think?
See what the chats are coming in.
All right.
Great. All right. You want me to reveal the answer?
Sure, let's reveal the answer. All right, it is B. If you got that right, congratulations.
Pat yourself in the back.
Yeah.
Good job. All right. So, so you've heard a little bit about me and Chelsea, and now we're going to tell you about 5 other colleagues that we have, and just why they love their jobs, their career path, things like that. So we're gonna walk through that. If you recall, like when I was talking about my job, the first important agreements that we set up or relationships that we set up are with landowners, and so we have people that their job is to contact landowners and talk to landowners who are interested in being part of our projects. So this is Josh Raybold, and there's a picture of him with some corn. He's not actually that short. The corn was very, very tall. I think that picture was in Colorado, actually. So I guess the corn's a little taller there. but what does a typical day look like for him? What he loves about this job is that it's always so different. Some weeks he's going to the state that he's working in, which right now is Kentucky. And other times he's, making phone calls, or he's at courthouses trying to, dig up title and figuring out who owns what land and things like that. So he loves the flexibility of that, and he really enjoys how he can kind of set his own pace. So he enjoys also just meeting lots of different people, and you'll hear that many times. And I think it's worth repeating just how much enjoyment we all get from our jobs and just meeting lots of different people in Kentucky and getting to see what those different communities are like. So why is his job important? He's really like the first person oftentimes that a local community will meet, and really establishing those relationships with the landowners and with community members early on is really critical. And he gets to really set that project up for success. So you'll see on the next slide, I'm going to talk about Josh's background, but we asked him, what advice would you give to your middle school or high school self? And he said, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do after you graduate. He didn't even know this job existed until he was 24. So, you never know where it's going to take you. And I'll give you a little bit of background on his career path. So he's from West Virginia originally, on the kind of northwest side. You can see the map there. He graduated from high school in 2013. After that, he was kind of deciding what to do, and he thought, well, I'll join the military, and he joined the U.S. Marine Corps, and he was there for about 4 years. And he worked in Germany, he worked across the U.S., and he did work as a communications specialist. So special ops, communication, radio, satellite, things like that. Learned a ton. And then after he got out of the military, he decided his family actually was the one. Chelsea mentioned her mother and how her mother was kind of pushing her. I think Josh had a similar situation where his family said, you should go to college. You should, check that out, see how that works out for you. And so he did. He went to study at West Virginia University, and he told me that he had actually switched majors like twice. So he was just trying it all on, right? He was trying to see what would fit, and he landed on a degree in energy land management, because really, like, the resource for any energy starts with the land, whether it's oil and gas and the resources that are underneath it, or for renewables, it's the sun and the wind. So that's what he decided to do, energy land management, and we're very grateful to have him on our team. And he joined us in July of last year. You can see some pictures on there. He likes hunting and fishing, and really loves his family. And you can see there on the bottom right, that's one of the trips that they took with their teams here in Florida. So next trivia question number 3. How many homes can be powered by 1 megawatt? So is it 50 homes, 100 homes, 500, 1,000? I'll let you guys stew on that a little bit. Throw your guesses in the chat. All right, big reveal. It actually depends on the house. Depends on how much the house uses. You can imagine, an apartment versus like a big mansion would use very different amount of energy. So it's kind of somewhere between the 500 and 1,000 homes range. But if you think about it, a lot of our projects that we work on are in the range of like 150 to 250 megawatts. So these are really large utility scale type of developments that impact a lot of people.
So Brian, he is one of our senior environmental specialists. His typical day, he works with a lot of internal customers as well as external consultants to really assist in any of the environmental matters, like he does his due diligence and making sure, if there's any specific wildlife or wetlands, that is that is noted in the project, as well as he monitors and analyzes all the policies there in the local communities as well as in the state that would affect our project. His favorite part of the job, he loves traveling to different sites in Kentucky, and he has gained a greater appreciation for the communities that he does serve. So he is also a Floridian, I believe. Yep, he was born and raised in Florida, and he does have a degree from the University of Florida. We are a little bit rivals there, but still really enjoy working with you, Brian. He moved after college to Washington, D.C., and he worked as an intern for the Society of American Foresters. He then moved back to Gainesville and worked at the State Forest. And in 2016, he joined our team here at NextEra Energy Resources as an environmental specialist. So he's been working here quite a while. He's very knowledgeable. Again, when you find a team and a company that you love, stick with it. So, question number 4. 1 megawatt of solar panels will generate how many megawatt hours of solar energy in a year? Let's give you guys a second to see if you're right. Is it A, B, C, or D?
Yeah, and do you guys know how many hours are in a year? That might be helpful for this question.
Hours in a year. 8,760.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah, that's right.
That's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of hours, for sure. See what we have in the chat. 8760. Yeah, perfect.
All right, so 2,000 megawatt hours for solar energy per year.
Yeah, and that's
pretty grand.
Yeah, and it depends on where you are in the, are you further away from the equator or closer to the equator, you generate more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I get to talk about Mary. And Mary is our transmission business manager, and she works across the U.S., but I rely on her all the time for the work that she does in Kentucky. And you can see some awesome pictures of her in like a glacier and just enjoying life with her partner there. So excellent. Mary's a great team member here. So what does a typical day look like for her? She works on a lot of different stuff, but a few of the things that she works on is building models to figure out like what do these projects look like, how do they tie into the grid. So those models are really representing the transmission grid wherever that project is tying in. And so she'll look at what are the impacts of these projects on the transmission grid, and that translates into how much does it cost to tie in. So we'd have to build something in order to tie in or upgrade part of the network. And she's really key to providing that guidance to the people who are developing the project on what those studies mean for the company and for the project, and how the transmission operator is going to view those projects. Her favorite part of the job is being able to really be like that point of contact and know what's going on, educating others based on all the experiences that she's had. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. But she also, similar to our other teammates, she really enjoys the teamwork involved in these projects and working with everyone in our company to see these projects come to fruition. So if you recall in the beginning, I talked about some of the 4 main cornerstones of our project. Transmission is one of those. So she's a really key part of determining like where those projects should be sited, because they have to be close to where transmission has capacity. So a little bit about her career growth. Mary is originally from Minnesota, and she went to school at University of Minnesota. And in 2009, she graduated with a degree in French and Italian, and she got a chance to study actually in Paris. That was so cool. So that doesn't sound like transmission, right? But it's interesting because what she decided was that, yes, she loved French and she loved Italian and she loved learning all those things. And actually that the base skill set of being able to communicate very well and communicate very clearly with lots of different people and different diversity of background is what ended up getting her a job in the future with MISO. But in the meantime, she decided, you know what, maybe I'll go back and get my degree in electrical engineering. So that's what she did. And you can see there's a little picture on the bottom there where one of her projects in school was to develop an EKG, which is like monitors your heart. So they built a little EKG when she was in school. And so she graduated with her degree in electrical engineering. And then she started work at MISO, which stands for Mid-Continent Independent System Operator. And you can see on the bottom right where that area covers. So they operate the transmission grid in those areas. So she worked in their policy studies team and looked at, as the government decides on different legislation, then they were determining, how that legislation would impact the transmission grid. And then in 2019, she started working in the generator interconnection, which is kind of like who we talk to determine how the project would interconnect. And then last year, she started as a transmission business manager at NextEra Energy Resources, and we are really happy to have her with us. So this one's not an energy trivia question, but an amazing statistic. So solar energy is by far the most abundant resource on Earth. A whopping 173,000 terawatts of solar energy strike the Earth continuously. That's more than 10,000 times the world's total energy use. So amazing to think that we're able to capture that resource. And
Very
yeah, imagine what we can do with all that energy. Cool. So that's a piece of it.
Yeah, so another key team member in Kentucky is Tristan. He is our early stage prospecting project manager, and he starts, his typical day is he identifies new areas in Kentucky. He's constantly looking all over the state to see where it makes sense to potentially put a solar facility to, again, capture the energy from the sun. He coordinates with experts on future projects, including internal and external consultants, and he plans meetings with community officials as well as the landowners, to go out and site visit and see if these projects are viable and if they could, potentially work. His favorite part of the job is there's always a new game to play. It makes him think outside of the box and how to, locate projects that we could potentially build. Again, like Lena has reiterated, a very important part of the project, the four main cornerstones, is the landowners, who he works closely with, the transmission customers, and then the regulators in the state. I'll go ahead so Tristan was born in Boston, but he grew up here in Florida. He moved out to Southern California for college and swam competitively at the University of Redlands, close to LA. He loved it out there. He was able to, he told me, snowboard and go surfing in the same day, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So when he graduated in 2018, he became a lead manager in a shipping supply warehouse called Uline, and then in 2019 he moved back to Florida. He decided that he wanted to work in project management here at NextEra Energy because it is great for the environment. Some of his family members work here as well, and of course, we're a great team.
Yeah. And Tristan's awesome to have on the team. Always so much fun.
Yeah.
And ready to kill it. So.
So this is a very interesting visual. I was pretty blown away when I saw it. So how much does a single blade from a wind turbine weigh, do you think? We have, here it is. So here's a couple of different units of weight, but I thought on the right-hand side with the picture, we all know what an airplane looks like, and for an airplane's wings to span as much as one of the arms on the wind turbine really blew my mind.
Yeah.
So it weighs about 10 tons, believe it or not. That is very, very heavy.
Yeah.
And I think we have another statistic. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's more than the weight of a full-grown elephant. That's huge.
That is huge. Amazing. Amazing. So this is our last team member that we wanted to highlight. His name is Ryan, and he is our engineering and construction project manager. And you can see he has some of his doggies on the right there, and his wife he met in Miami. So we'll talk a little more about that when we talk about his career path. But Ryan's role as engineering and construction, he looks early on at solar sites to determine, is it constructible? So you see that word constructability. It's kind of a big word, but it's really, can you build it? Does it make sense? Is the ground good for it? So he looks across engineering and estimating and the supply chain for materials and construction resources, and really pulls all of that together to figure out, how we're going to make this work, and how's that all going to come together. So, and he loves to keep it fun, and really he really enjoys, the overall dynamics of the team, and, working through those challenges all together is really what he enjoys the most about his job, as well as going out and seeing these sites. So going from the beginning, seeing the blank slate of the land, and then seeing the materials and the labor and the resources that all come together to build something and commission it, build something amazing that can benefit so many people. So why is his job important? So we have to ensure that we can build the site safely, number one. And number two, we need to make sure that we build it on budget and on time, so that we can do that for the least cost possible. And really what drives Ryan, what he really enjoys, is the fact that renewable energy helps to conserve our nation's natural resources, and he loves being a part of that. So important. So a little bit of background on Ryan. He grew up in Rhode Island and initially attended school at Northeastern University in Boston, and then decided that he wanted to move somewhere a little bit warmer. So he came down to Miami, and he finished his degree in mechanical engineering. So you got a few mechanical engineers on our team. And he really enjoyed being here in Miami and decided to make Florida a permanent thing. He worked for about 12 years in a totally different industry, in the power generation and aerospace industry. So he worked on the engines that, is used by the military and all kinds of different places. He was able to, do the early on conceptual engineering, but also the testing and commissioning of those very complex, technically complex, pieces of equipment. So amazing opportunities there. And then last year was some big changes for him. So he got married and had his beautiful baby girl. But he also last year changed industries and started working with NextEra Energy Resources as an engineering and construction project manager. And he's just really been enjoying that, enjoys the collaboration piece of it, the teamwork piece. So we're really grateful to have him on our team as well. So we are out of time here. We have, I think we have maybe Zach.
Maybe a couple
Yeah,
more
you guys can put a
minutes.
video.
We have this 4-minute video, so we'll put that on.
And this
Yeah.
is a little bit
Yeah.
more information about, I know we just talked about all the experts on our team working there in Kentucky, but there's also another side, the wind side of our industry, where they work mostly in the mid to west states. So we're going to show you one short video of a day in the life of their job.
And it's about 4 minutes long, and then we'll close out from there.
We come in a little before 7 in the morning and we find out what turbines need to be addressed that day. Then we start our morning meeting and we start off with a risk assessment and we go over safety first so that everybody has that in the forefront of their mind before we ever leave the shop. Then we go over the daily assignments and find out what we'll be doing that day. Then we go out and as a group we'll stretch together so that we all get a good stretch in and still thinking safety first so that there aren't any sprains or strains, which are a leading cause of injuries. And then we gather our parts and our tools and our cleaning supplies and maintenance, load up our trucks and head out to the turbines. And then we spend the rest of the day up tower. It's just a great place to work. I would never replace it for an office job. You start out as a Wind Tech 3, which is just your basic position, and you start learning the basic operations of a wind turbine generator. You start off with computer-based learning in the office for the first couple of weeks, and then you get clearance trained, and then you get climb tested, and then you can go up tower and start working. That's when the real excitement starts because you get to do a little more hands-on. And from there, your growth potential is unlimited because NextEra Energy really appreciates hard work. And the more you put in, the more they'll reward you. So your growth potential at NextEra is only limited by yourself. I tell everybody that it's a great career and it's exciting. I mean, it's something different every day. It's a wonderful job, great places to work, and great growth opportunity. Your career, if you start out at the bottom, you could go all the way up to the corporate office if you want. They will help you. They'll give you the training and encourage you all the way.
They train leaders, I believe. You know, they've helped me a lot. They helped me grow. They're non-stop growing, so they're always going to need leaders, and it's a good company to get in. They're not going anywhere, and they're solid. There is more to it, especially with this company. There is the business side of it, and they're involved in it. Every tech here is involved in the business side of it also. So they need to, if they're going into those programs, not only study the wind turbine part, but also the other areas of it when they get into their Excel classes and math classes and business classes. I feel it's great. You know, I think a lot of people may not look at the benefits right now, but if you start thinking ahead for our kids, grandkids, whatever, as we're growing more renewable energy, it cleans the air here, less pollution. And for them, it is benefiting us now, but it's really going to benefit future generations.
The opportunity for me was much greater, opportunity for more challenges, more opportunity for advancement. And I think just as a whole that the wind energy business is a thriving industry that's rather new technology, semi-new. And because of that, it really sparked my interest and gave me a strong desire to get into it. I like the fluidity of it. I like the different challenges that each opportunity, each day presents. And it could be anything from from doing a new interesting challenge on the computer and trying to track some things down like that into trouble call in the middle of the night. It's just the variation that keeps me on my toes that I really enjoy. Well, that was definitely a part of the reason that I came into this business, not just for the opportunity, but for the fact that it is an environmentally sound technology. It's an environmentally friendly technology. And I've had a background in that before through college studies and things of that nature. And I think that just a trend in general is not just government, but in the world.
So we just wanted to thank you guys again for spending some time with us this morning. And if you are interested in, career opportunities in the future as you graduate, we're always here, and the options are unlimited. So thank you so much, Zach, for having us. And we will share some information with Zach for everybody to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you all so much. If you guys want to put your contact information in the chat, feel free to, for anyone to email or reach out with. But thank you all again for a great presentation. It was great to learn about it. And if you all are interested in careers in sustainable energy, NextEra has tons of options that you all learn for you all. So definitely reach out about that. Now we're going to pass it over to our partners with KCTCS. So Dr. Borman, if you want to hop on and get started.
Thank you, Zach. All right, can everyone see my screen, I hope?
Yep, we're all good.
Great. Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm here to talk to you guys this morning, not just about our program here at Owensboro Community and Technical College, but also about the various career opportunities available within the veterinary industry. So before we get started this morning, I'll share a little bit about myself and the other instructors. So I am my name is Dr. Laura Borman, and I am a veterinarian, and started as program coordinator here at OCTC back in July. I was fortunate enough to practice small animal medicine here in Owensboro, Kentucky for almost 12 years before stepping into this role. I loved every minute of it. I enjoyed general practice. I enjoyed the relationship that I was able to form, not just with my patients, but my clients as well. And I can truly say, after practicing for 11 years, I could not have done my job as efficiently as I was able to without the support of veterinary technicians. They truly are the bread and butter of our industry. They're what allow our clinics to operate efficiently. They're what allow us to provide compassionate care to our patients. And so my passion really is not just in advancing, the veterinary technician profession, but advancing veterinary medicine in general. And I truly believe we couldn't do that without our vet techs. To give you a little bit of information about our other instructors, we have two other instructors with us. Jacqueline Jackson, who is actually an LVT, so she's a licensed veterinary technician. She's been with our program since it started in 2014. She has a background in agriculture with a minor in equine science, and she teaches a number of our courses here at the community college. Many of our hands-on skills are taught in her courses. She also loves teaching parasitology, which is a really interesting course. And then Ms. Tara Groves is also a licensed veterinary technician who joined us in 2017. I was fortunate enough to work with Tara in private practice for a number of years before she stepped into education. And she is one of the most energetic and passionate veterinary technicians that I have ever met. And so our students are really fortunate to have her as an instructor here. One of her areas of interest is in fear-free, and you'll hear a little bit about that as we move through the presentation. But the veterinary industry realized within the last 10 to 15 years that fear and anxiety have a detrimental role on our patients' recovery. So patients that have undergone surgery or an illness, we now know that they recover slower and do not bounce back to full capacity if they're undergoing a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety. We also know that it can have a detrimental effect on our business because clients don't want to bring their animals to places that they know that they're going to be scared or stressed. And so the veterinary industry started this movement within the last 10 to 15 years to minimize the amount of stress and anxiety in our patients. And there are simple tips and tricks that we've learned along the way, certain restraint techniques, the use of calming pheromones, even the use of different paint colors within the practice, paying attention to what species are housed next to one another. You don't want to put a predator animal like a cat next to a prey animal like a rabbit. So those different tips and tricks that are easily applicable to practice are things that we try to teach our technicians within our program. And Ms. Groves has spearheaded that for our students. So the biggest question that I have from younger students is, what is a vet tech? And it may seem like a silly question, but when you start looking at all of the different aspects of practice that a veterinary technician is involved in, their list of responsibilities is pretty large. And so it's our job here at OCTC to make sure that our students are adequately trained in all areas so that they can go out and be useful members of the veterinary community upon graduation. So veterinary technician provides the veterinarian with technical support for all aspects of patient care. In the traditional role, we think of technicians that go in and talk to clients and educate them about things they need to know about their pet. We also tend to think of them as animal restrainers. Oftentimes they're the one restraining the pet for their exam and treatment. But the role of the technician goes far beyond that. In our practice, so prior to stepping in this role, the practice that I managed for 11 years, our goal was to saturate that clinic with veterinary technicians. And that is because we realized the role that they, or the value that they bring to a clinical setting. So we had technicians staffed all the way from our front desk throughout our hospital and even into our kennel area, so that the first person that our clients met was a veterinary technician. The reason for that is we wanted the first person that met that patient and met that client to be a medically trained person who knew how to triage in an emergency, who knew why we're recommending a certain medication or why we're advocating for that pet to be spayed or neutered or to be vaccinated. A veterinary technician is the perfect person for that role. We even had them staffed in our kennel and grooming area. Most clients that board their pet at a veterinary clinic does so because they want to make sure that if an emergency happens, their animal is there where the veterinarian can step in and help their pet. And so it made perfect sense to put a vet tech in the kennel and grooming role. They're going to know what illnesses to watch for, signs of injury, how to intervene in an emergency situation. And of course, we had them in our surgery area. We had them in our pharmacy, filling prescriptions, educating clients on those prescriptions, how to administer the medication, contraindications, what not to administer that certain medication with, that sort of thing. Veterinary technicians also played a huge role in surgery and dentistry. Oftentimes in a clinical setting, the veterinarian is scrubbed in performing the surgery, but it's the technician that's running the anesthesia, that's scrubbing in to assist with that procedure. It's the technician that is recovering that patient, monitoring and staying with that patient until they're fully recovered. It's also the technician that's going to discharge that surgery patient. So they're going to go over with that client what was done that day, what signs to watch for, when to notify us if they have concerns, and how to notify us. They're going to dispense the medications that need to go home with that patient. You can see on this screen here, these are two of our students, Corey and Keely, that are learning how to take proper radiographs. So the veterinary technician is the one obtaining good quality radiographs for the veterinarian to review. So they not only need to know about proper positioning and technique, but they need to know about radiation safety and how to protect themselves and the patient when obtaining those films. So in addition to general practice, veterinary technicians who are licensed and who graduate from accredited programs have the opportunity to specialize in over 16 different specialties within this field. So students that are interested in emergency and critical care or dentistry, zoo animal medicine, behavior and dermatology, they can go on after graduation and specialize in those fields. It's a great way to prevent burnout because you're furthering your career, you're broadening your capabilities, and you're doing something that you're truly passionate about. It oftentimes also means a pay increase. So it's a way to earn more. It's a great resume builder. For students that are interested in the various specialties that are available, I would encourage you to visit the NAVDA website. That's the National Association of Vet Techs in America. And they have a webpage specifically devoted to all of the various specialties that are available for veterinary technicians. So what else is available for a vet tech? It's my job to advocate for the profession and to educate students. But the last thing I want a student to do is to go through our program, go through the financial commitment, the time commitment that it takes to graduate, get out into general practice for a couple of years and realize it's not for them, or maybe they're injured and can't work in general practice anymore. There's lots of different reasons, but the last thing that we want is for a student to go through all of that work and then leave the industry altogether simply because they didn't know what other career opportunities were available for a licensed technician. So in addition to general practice, veterinary technicians have a lot of different career opportunities. Those can be things such as research. So if you tend to gravitate more towards a laboratory setting, there are lots of different research jobs available for veterinary technicians. There are government agency jobs, the military, research agencies within the government, state and federal inspectors, the USDA, FDA, all of those types of government agency jobs are available for vet techs. If you're interested in nonprofits, so humane societies, shelters, wildlife rehabilitators, they all benefit greatly from having a licensed veterinary technician, someone who's trained medically. They would benefit greatly from having them on their team. And of course, academia is always an option. We have 2 licensed veterinary technicians that work with us. What better person to educate a prospective vet tech than a licensed vet tech themselves? So that is a wonderful opportunity for licensed technicians. And then on the industry side, there are pharmaceutical sales positions that are available for veterinary technicians. The pet insurance industry is growing rapidly, and so they hire licensed technicians as well. Poison control, that's a huge one. There are several different poison control hotline available for owners. So dogs and cats especially are notorious for eating things that they shouldn't. The owner leaves their medication out, and the pet gets it, and inevitably that's going to be an emergency in any client's setting. So poison control hotlines hire veterinary technicians who are licensed and experienced in toxicology to assist those clients. So there are a lot of different career opportunities for the vet tech. You just have to be aware of what's out there. But if you enjoy hands-on learning, if you're someone that learns best by getting in there and doing, the vet tech program, the veterinary technician career may be a great opportunity for you. Within our program, we have over 300 hands-on essential skills that we teach our students during their time with us. And with the advancement in technology, we have been fortunate enough to acquire several different simulators that help aid in instructing students on those hands-on skills. So while ultimately our students are going to have to practice on live animals, we have found that if they can get some of those fundamentals down, some of those basics first with the use of simulators, then when they move to the live patient, they're more comfortable, they're more confident. The patient benefits from it because now they don't have a nervous student with shaky hands trying to place an IV catheter. So it's a win-win for everyone. We have, over the last couple of years, added several new simulators to our program. So we have Cindy, our surgical simulator, which you can see here. Cindy is the equivalent to a full-size 40-pound dog. She comes fully equipped with abdominal organs, a heart that pumps, lungs that expand and inflate. She has vessels that bleed. So we can take students through several different types of mock surgical situations. So we wouldn't want to perform a splenectomy, remove a spleen on a healthy animal just for teaching purposes, but we're able to do that on Cindy. So the student still experiences the value of that teaching moment with the use of the simulator. We use her for CPR training. So students learn how to properly intubate, how to perform chest compressions, how to place IV catheters, draw blood, lots of fun activities that we're able to do with Cindy. You'll also see on the other side of the screen some of our other more basic simulators. So we have some canine forelimbs that we use for practicing blood draws and placing catheters. And then we also have a dental simulator. We have a picture here of a student practicing intubation, but we also are able to train students in how to obtain good quality dental radiographs and how to do a proper oral exam, how to scale and polish the teeth, and we're even able to complete surgical extractions on this simulator. So surgical nursing is an important part of our program here at OCTC. As I mentioned before, usually in practice, you're going to have one doctor in the room during a surgery, and they're oftentimes busy doing the surgical procedure. So it's the veterinary technician that's responsible for all other aspects within that patient's care. Usually there's a technician that's performing anesthesia. There's a technician that's going to scrub in and assist with that surgery. And so our students have to learn not just how to scrub in and practice sterile technique, but they need to understand what surgical procedure is being done, how it's being performed, what equipment is needed, and how to operate that equipment so that they can be a valuable asset to that doctor performing that surgery. It's also the veterinary technician that's making sure that that patient is under a safe plane of anesthesia, that they are properly cared for throughout that surgery. Veterinary dentistry is a rapidly growing area of practice. One that that is very important with regard to veterinary technicians, because they're the ones that are going to be taking those dental radiographs. They're going to be the ones advocating for that patient's dental care. They're going to be the ones scaling and polishing the teeth. So if you have an interest in dentistry and with animals, there's a way to combine those two passions, and that route is through as a veterinary technician. Within our program, we train our students both in large animal as well as small animal and exotics. We have 2 program horses, CJ and Bo, that live with us, and our students are able to learn about proper husbandry and care of these animals, and they've been a great asset to our program. We also have a great working relationship with our area cattle producers who allow us to come out and practice various skills on their herd. This is one of our first-year students who, within the first month of being in our program, had her hands on a cow. So we really do try to get our students out and practicing those hands-on skills as quickly as possible. And of course, exotics and lab animal medicine are taught as well. So just a few short tidbits about our program. We are the only 2-year accredited program within the state of Kentucky. So that means that at the end of the 2 years with us, you have an associate's degree in applied sciences, and you're eligible to set for your national boards exam, which we strongly encourage all of our students to do. All of those different career opportunities that I mentioned, all of those are available to you if you obtain that license. So our 2 years with these students are focused on getting them ready for that national boards exam. Zach, do we have time for a short video? I know I'm probably running over a little bit.
I think we're a little over, but we can send it out to everyone afterwards.
Okay, sounds great. So this video that Zach will send out is a tour of our teaching hospital. So we're fortunate enough to have that on site where we're able to see live patients, provide medical care and surgery for those patients while our students are learning. So be sure and take a look at that video if you're interested in the vet tech program. And he can share my contact information with you as well. I would be more than happy to talk to any students about the veterinary technician field, or if they're interested in veterinary medicine, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that career path. But I know I ran over a little bit, but I appreciate you having me this morning and look forward to answering any questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been a great session, both from NextEra and from the KCTCS programs. If you all have any questions for anyone, feel free to reach out. Contact information is on the screen, in the chat. We'll be posted on the website. So anything you all need, let us know. We will be back on Wednesday, May 18th to learn more about careers in maritime, and we will see you all then. Thanks, everyone.